It's literally 1984. Have you ever seen a movie where the large population is controlled by a totalitarian government that is controlling everyone with an iron fist with constant surveillance? It's literally 1984. It's just 1984. Everything is 1984.
That's what the meme says.
You play Fortnite? Fortnite did a 1984 thing when they got removed from
Literally
the App Store.
1984.
It's literally 1984. And they're preaching to an audience of children who don't know what.
Well, pretty much when the government does anything ever, it's literally George Orwell's 1984.
It's literally just 1984. But
a book we've read, definitely.
I have not. Anyway, on the other side of the coin, you've got a government that is a utopia. It's a utopia government that loves you, that takes care of you, free healthcare, no guns, no violence. It actually has a good justice system and doesn't put innocent people away. And it puts people as presidents who are perfect. That is a government utopia, and all the governments in the world are together. They have coalesced into a what is it? The League of Nations? Is that what it was called?
League of Nations.
The League of Nations.
Oh, like the UN on steroids, I guess.
It's the League of Nations, but the entire world. Even oh wait, no, never mind. That's fictional. Sorry, I was thinking of New Zealand. Anyway, so this is the hypothetical. Pretty much, what if we lived in a government, the political world, where it's just it's a dystopia. It's what you would see in movies like 1984, or I'm trying to think. There's a lot of movies like this.
Like every dystopian novel, YA novel ever,
where the government is so perfect that you cannot overthrow it because it's perfect. How are you going to overthrow a government that's so corrupt and perfect? You can't. But on the other side...
we'll see.
On the other side, you've got a government that it takes care of you. It is so perfect that it's just... What's the point of changing anything? Well, we've got countries that are so diverse in culture, in like high living standards that is made because the government actually cares and they've put themselves forward to help you. That's what the utopia is. But, of course, the dystopia is more interesting because we love to talk about how the world sucks. Anyway, Flynn, what's your take?
Alright, well, welcome to our... is this our 4th episode? Yep,
yes.
4th episode of Hypotheticals. Political Utopia / Dystopia. I'm Flynn, this is Dan, and here is the context for it. So we're assuming that, every country is united, so even like countries like China, North Korea, Russia, they're all chill now.
We're all happy best friends.
And this is maybe this has happened like the next 10 years.
Let's say the next 100, because 10 would be very much stretching it.
Oh, this isn't realistic though.
This is not realistic. Okay, let's say 10 years. Well, let's just say the technology we have now is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Sweet. That works.
It sounds like something you do in geography class. I'm about to start listing off the pros and the cons. It sounds like something. But, this is my, Okay, this is my, it depends on, it should depend on who's controlling. But I think with that much, power, I don't think it'd matter if you have Mr. Beast or Adolf Hitler. I don't think it would end up being that great. And here's why. Okay, so I'm gonna go through the pros and the cons. I'll start with the best first, the pros of saying a massive big government combined of all the nations of the world comes together. So I think what would be one of the biggest things is, I'm assuming we probably all start speaking the same language. Did you remember that language that was attempted?
I do remember that. I tried to speak it myself, and I remember cat was something. I forgot. It was so long ago. I learned about it in digital class, which I did a few years ago. But I'm assuming that the language system is where we are now. There is obviously going to still be language barriers, and that happens. But the universal language is English. But that is the universal language.
So I think it's important to make this distinction. Is the entire world now one nation, or are we all united under one government?
We are... Okay, so we're still countries. There's still countries and commonwealths and nations, but we are all allied. We are all helping. We're not angry at each other. There's
okay, well that actually
we
knocks my bit off kilter. Okay, that's interesting.
well, but we can also say that we fall under the same system, like we're capitalism, either capitalism or something. Anyway, let's just say we fall under capitalism, and we are...
Yeah, like, so basically every single country is, like...
on the same political compass. Exact same.
Yeah,
so,
whole comp.
But, we can, but if you want to go on and say that we are all one nation, then go ahead.
Okay, for the sake of my argument, I'm going to be saying that we're all, like, under one flag, under all one nation.
Humanity.
That's for the sake of mine, yeah. So we're probably going to be speaking the same language, similar ideals, same culture, like roughly the same culture. So the whole world would be like on the same page when it comes to like different laws, different stuff like that. People would be more patriotic, and I think people would be way more accepting. Because if we're all under the same thing, and this is why with our other episode that we did last, which I wished I touched on, is say we went to war with aliens, right? I think what if it would be beautiful if the entire world like comes together, no matter like race, religion, politics, whatever. They all came together to fight off these aliens, like the one race, the human race. I think that's what could happen. Is that we're all now one race, the human race.
Yeah.
And I think, and if we put everyone, all the smartest people in the world, all the biggest organizations, all working towards a common goal to benefit humanity, like we could get a cure for cancer. And we'd reverse climate change. We could do all these like massive things. Well, yeah, we could have at some point. Yeah, definitely.
We would start treating death like an illness. That would be cool. But yeah.
It would be a more, and then we could solve like going out into space. Like we basically boost all advancements because we put all of the resources put into one thing instead of them being divided throughout different countries.
From a political utopia, we turn into a galactic civilization.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
But now here are the cons. Here are my cons. I think what could happen is like the loss of culture, the loss of different languages, the loss of different religions, because it's so everything's so what's the word?
Diverse.
Yeah, no, not diverse. Everything becomes so
homogeneous.
Yeah, homogenized.
That's it.
That people lose like what makes them special or unique, and some people don't see this as a bad thing, but like, I'm not saying this is necessarily a bad thing, I'm not saying it's a good thing, I'm just saying that this could be something that other people see as bad, is that there's a loss of culture, a loss of religion, a loss of languages, because now everyone is the same. And then it becomes, who decides what becomes the regular culture, the norm? And I'll get into that. Like what becomes that? Is it like do we live in a Western world? Do we live in a more like kind of Eastern influence world?
Well, no matter what, people are going to be upset.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can never. I think what you told me a few weeks ago was we live in a world where where nobody will ever agree on anything.
Yeah, you cannot say a single thing that everyone will agree on.
Yeah, this just will not happen ever. That's more something on humanity though, but here's the thing, right? Like, who said power? Who said that? Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Power corrupts. Quote. Who says this?
Probably some really powerful guy.
John, probably. John Delberg. Yeah, power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. So, are we saying this is going to be a dictatorship, or like a council, or a democracy, or?
I actually was thinking that myself. I don't know, because
alright,
it's strange.
Let's say for the sake of argument, it's like a council, right? There's like a council of people, maybe representing like different parts of the world and all of that, or there's always like even the best countries have corruption. Even like the best, like air quotes, the best countries have tons of corruption.
Yes.
Imagine putting someone at the helm of the entire world with 7 billion people. You think no one's going to be like exchanging money behind people's backs? You think there's going to be no secret deals? No, like I don't care who you put as the emperor of the world. They're not gonna be morally genuine. They can't be, even if they started that way. People go into politics to make change, only to find out that they're just cogs in the greater machine. I feel like this massive, there was one, like, governing body in charge of the whole world that would just, like, exaggerate that. It would just be, I don't care, like, if it's and, like, democracy, like, people, like, voting, like,
The power
you think no one, power of people, do you think they'd care? Like, those at the top? You know what I mean? There's no rivalries, like we said, there's no real, rebellions. There's no one who can rebel, because, the military of the entire world is so crushing and powerful. There's no one who can stop them. So, like, of course, people might be, like, passive and docile and happy, living in a good world, even though they might not necessarily have a lot of power of who's in control. But some people aren't going to be. Are we better off having, like, are we better off living in a world where, although everything might be, like, better, and there's not, like, xenophobia, for example, but we don't get to decide who's in control? And how do we know who's in control has the best interests?
Alright, well, I'll ask you a question. Would you live in a society that is technically a dictatorship, but you're happy? You're living in a house,
and that's the question.
A family that you love. You're happy, but you have no control over your own life. You have constant surveillance, but you believe the philosophy, if you've got nothing to hide, then you're fine. So what's the point of them invading your privacy?
Well, I don't think it matters if I'm fine or not. Like, me personally, that wouldn't sit well with me, that like, I don't have control. Like, sure, I'd be happy, and I think I would rather live under a country where, like, I'm happy, even though I don't get to have control over who's in charge, in a country where everything sucks, but at least we have a democracy. But all of our candidates suck.
But don't we already kind of, like, live like that? Do we actually make a difference as the people? Like, do our votes actually mean something in the end when both sides of the party are really just not the best?
Well, yeah. Well, I don't think that, I think what that shows is, like, for this hypothetical is, crank that up to 11. Like, you're cranking that, like, kind of little worry up to the max. You know what I mean? But, like, it wouldn't. But I don't think it matters if I'm happy with that or not. Like, there's kind of people who aren't.
Yeah.
And that's where
who are always unhappy around the world, and there's nothing really we can do about it. But the fact that we can live in a world where we're incredibly happy but have no control is the case for people. That is the case for a lot of people in today's world, where they live in a dictatorship.
Oh yeah, definitely.
This is what separates this hypothetical.
You make that argument for a lot of countries.
Yeah, this is less a hypothetical, more a real life situation, because we more sit in the middle of a dystopia and a utopia, but more on the dystopian side, on my opinion, because
I have to disagree. I have to disagree with you there. I don't think we're anywhere close to either of them. I think it really depends where you live. I think you make the argument that China is I'd say North Korea is a dystopian society.
Yes, same. Totally. China, Korea, definitely. I'd say that's. But like, I wouldn't say like Western countries are a utopia by any means. But I would much rather live in. But I wouldn't really call the United States or the EU or Australia. You know those movies. You know those movies where they have a lot of people storm a certain governmental facility to make a statement, to make a point. It's in a lot of media. And it happened. It happened in America. Yeah. They stormed the Capitol. That is something you see in dystopia movies. So who's to say that those people in America are living a American nightmare instead of the dream anymore? They've got people with guns running around, and there's nothing they can do about that.
I'm not going to go into the gun.
It's just an example of why America feels more like a dystopia than a utopia.
I have to disagree with you there. I really don't agree with that people who say America is a dystopia. I really don't agree with that. I think it's far from perfect. I don't think it's the best Western country when it comes to a quality of living standard, sure, but I think the statement that the United States is a dystopian leaning country wearing like good jewelry is a great argument. I see your point. I see the point of that, but like when it comes down to it, like I'd much rather.
If you're a white, I don't know if.
Oh damn!
I don't. No. I don't.
Are we gonna go there?
If you're a white male, if you're a white male in America, then fine. You live on a perfectly balanced thing. But if you are, let's be honest, a woman cannot walk out into the streets at night. Let's be honest about that. But it depends on perspective, because from our perspective, America might be fine. But from a
spoiler alert, we're not Americans.
But how we see it. But if you are a woman or a person of color living in America, you might be experiencing a lot of hate. Hate
I see your point.
And that even happens here in Australia. It happens all over the world. But that it's a dystopia for them because they have to live in fear while we don't. So it depends on the person as well, not just the country, but it depends on your background, who you are, your gender, your age.
It depends on literally everything. But I still wouldn't call that a dystopia. I think a dystopia is still a stretch. I think like a dystopia is like, I think what classifies a dystopia is lack of freedom of speech. If you can't speak out, if like, that's why I think China is a dystopia.
Yes, yeah.
That's why even like you can be a pretty comfortably living Chinese person, but if you don't have
abide and
if you can't speak out,
nothing happened. Remember, and there is a certain country that isn't a country. Oh shit! It isn't a country. Anyway, I agree. Look, to some extent, I still think America is leaning. They're not a dystopia, but they're leaning towards that. They are all about freedom and manifesting destiny when both sides of their party is over 70 years old and they're being controlled by
I definitely believe that there should be an age limit on what you can run for
there is no reason that I'm sure Joe Biden is fine. Like, you can never say that a president of the United States is perfect. No one was. But Joe Biden is fine. But I don't even think he's in control. I think this is a shogunate. This is a shogunate thing.
Clearly not.
He is the emperor while there is a military government running everything behind him, and he's cool with it because he gets to live the luxury life.
We haven't gone very far. Oh, actually, no, we haven't gone very far. This is pretty honest, actually. That's where all the conspiracy theorists come in. That's where... All right. Well, okay. Well, I've got a bonus for this for this one. All right. What if, say, how would you feel if because if a rebellion, large and passionate enough not to like be stopped by like this big hulking globalist government, like they couldn't be swayed, they couldn't be brought, they couldn't be bribed, they couldn't be beat.
No, they can't. They just.
And then they start a war. What would happen then?
Well, who are they going to start a war against?
The world, like me versus like them versus the world. Like, will they?
So the people who are in charge of the entire world go to war with the people who are in charge of the entire world.
Pretty much.
How would they? So now what happens, I'm guessing, is that a certain country goes, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I want to leave. I will become my own independent country.
Not
and then
necessarily,
that will keep happening until we're back to where we are now.
Maybe, or not even necessarily countries, like a group of people, like a very large, like using on a
rebellion.
4chan,
rebellion. Like the 4chan rebellion. Let's say over 100 million people. Just all in it together to overthrow this government that is so seemingly perfect.
Because say it's being exposed for corruption, but no one's doing anything about it. Like, say, just
would you do anything about it if it doesn't affect your life and it's just,
Yeah, that's what it comes down to, is the moral dilemma of
do you
rather live like a hamster in a cage or a tiger in the... That sounds like something it's on Facebook.
It sounds like, it sounds like a 40-year-old mum would say on Facebook after downing 3 drinks of wine. I think...
Yeah, just
you should take into consideration that some people just won't care. Like, they will see the world and they will be like, I don't care that we're being run by this government. I don't care if there's a little bit of corruption. I'm happy. That's all that matters. And, honestly, I feel that way as well. I feel like that it really just doesn't matter if I'm happy. But then again, we need cool people like me to save the day. So you need people to overthrow something that is corrupt. But then it happens again, and you've got more corruption. No one is safe from corruption. It just comes down to greed.
No.
It just comes down to greed.
Money and drugs. Human nature.
There's nothing we can do about it, and
all these are just like human nature.
Yeah, it is human nature to watch those little numbers rise. That gives you dopamine for whatever reason. Big numbers makes you happy.
Like you guys for liking the video.
Like when we get 4 likes, and it makes me happy because it's like, oh wow, I suck. Anyway,
half of them, and 3 of them were from the people who worked on it.
Yes, so actually, I didn't like it on one of my accounts.
Or you'll like it. Come on, please like it. Let's get it.
Yeah. Anyway, like when you see these governments, their goal is to make money. That's their goal. That's what they want to do. Make money. Muns. They want muns.
Well, when you told me the other day about how corporations on Mars might be looking out for us, now you're saying governments want our money.
Yeah, I'm saying governments want our money, not small.
Well, that's why cigarettes are still legal. That's why cigarettes are because it goes into the health industry.
Yeah.
You smoke, you need the government healthcare, which you pay for.
Yeah, but I think if cigars and cigarettes became illegal, a lot of people would be upset. There's I said, or like we talked about.
Comes down to freedom.
There's nothing you can do that won't upset at least a small group of people.
Yeah.
And you know what those group of people are called?
Actually, I don't.
Minorities.
We'll put it up on.
Like when.
Cut that.
No. Because a minority isn't, that. A minority.
That sounds bad out of context. No, that sounds bad out of context.
A minority is a group of people who are outweighed by the majority.
It just sounds bad when you say it like that.
It does sound bad when I say it like that, but the intentions are nothing that you think.
Of course.
It could be a group of people just randomly selected. It doesn't matter. These group of people are...
A minority of people that disagree. I think you could probably say.
A minority of people who smoke. You've got the smokers versus the non-smokers. I'm guessing there are more non-smokers in the world than there are smokers, just because
I think so.
Children ratio and, old people ratio, all of this stuff.
Get ratioed smokers.
Comment this to get ratio King Deku. Anyway.
King Deku can't get ratioed.
You put that comment in the put that in the thing, Will. Anyway,
Dan's actually a huge My Hero Academia fan.
If you make cigarettes illegal, that minority of people who love to smoke are gonna get upset. They're gonna want to overthrow the government and say, "Hey, give me back my cigars, hey!" And they'll get very upset.
No, more like.
Get on, come on, Sheila, give me back more cigars. But yeah, like that. And then all of a sudden you have a group of people who hate the government and want to overthrow it, and that group will slowly get bigger as more things happen, like getting rid of things to help people's health.
The butterfly.
It's a butterfly.
The butterfly. Yeah.
If they're doing if a utopian government is doing things for the sake of humanity, they'll ban drugs, they'll ban alcohol, they'll ban all these things that are purely just for entertainment, just for yourself, and a lot of people won't be happy about that. And all of a sudden, it's not a utopia. It's more I can't do these fun things. I'm allowed to, go skydiving. I'm allowed to do other things that give me adrenaline and make me happy and give me these hormones and feelings that I want to feel. But I can't do drugs at home.
Yeah.
And I can't do all these things. What the hell? I'm being controlled. Let's get a giant group and overthrow this government. Nothing you do. There's no government that can keep everyone satisfied. Because there is always a group of people that will disagree, hate you, resent you, and want to create a rebellion against you.
What a way to end this podcast. How much time are we on now?
25 minutes.
25 minutes, alright.
I think that's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
So if you've got
I've said everything I need to say. Nah, I've said about pretty much everything.
Yeah.
You?
Well,
this is ironically, this is the shortest. I thought this would have been like the longest.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about politics on certain things, you need to keep in mind that there are a lot of people who just straight up just don't care. And when you have a society of people who like, okay, let's use a average white male working class person who, middle class, they don't smoke, they don't drink, they don't do drugs. When all of that is taken away, they don't care. They genuinely don't, and that is going to be a majority of the people. And when they're out on the streets at night, they don't need to feel bad. They don't need to feel uncomfortable because they're fine.
Yeah,
and it doesn't affect them. They don't care about other people, and that's what makes a society not utopian. Because you have to have every single person care about the same things for it to, work universally. But yeah, that's just my last take on it.
Alright, well, if that's all if that's all we got to say, well, I'm happy to end it right there.
Yep, and on the next one we'll be talking about the classic old tale of a zombie apocalypse. A genre that definitely hasn't been stomped into the ground.
Talk to death. definitely not the most cliche topic we could have picked.
It's still good though. Zombies are interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for listening. If you made it this far, remember to comment that New Zealand is not a country, and don't dislike, even though you can't anymore. Screw YouTube for getting rid of the dislike button. Thank you.
Screw you, Susan.
Don't badmouth Susan. It's not her fault, I don't think. Anyway.
It's not Susan's, okay.
Anyway, see you next time. Have fun. Don't die. Don't become a totalitarian government. See ya.